Good afternoon, thank you for being here. We need a new library because we need to refill our imaginations. We need a better library for a better future. We need more books so that we can see different dreams. If we have more information, we can grow up with more wisdom. All of these are quotes from letters to the governor by Marshall Elementary School children, written when we were applying for the State Bond Act that would fund our new Castro Valley Library. And all of these quotations are true. All of them are also perfect for National Library Week. And this celebration is the perfect ending for National Library Week this year. Making this library a reality has taken a very, very large village, as you can see from all of us here assembled. There are many folk to thank. The State Library for the 65% match on the funding, our great Board of Supervisors, John Dutra and Senator Corbett, the Redevelopment Agency, the Castro Valley Community Advisory Committee, General Services Agency, the Library Advisory Committee, and our great, great, great library staff, and most importantly you, the people of this community who have worked with us for so many years. And actually I discovered this morning that we can say we have worked together for decades to make this library a happening thing. And then there is Linda Wood, who is the godmother of this library, who bravo, excellent. I sent Linda an invitation to the groundbreaking, and she replied that she is very happy to know that we have reached this milestone, but that, and this is a quote from her, the responsibilities of retirement require me to be in Florence, Italy on this special day.
Good for her.
Today we break the ground. In 2009 we will open the doors of a beautiful new library filled with art, books, and dreams. I hope to see each and every one of you and many, many more when we open the new library. We will have many, many celebratory things going on, and we will have many, many stories that we can share. To end as I began, with the wisdom of children, another quotation from a young student. A library plus a mind equals greatness. Thank you for joining us today. Now I am very pleased to present Alameda County's very own woman warrior, County Administrator Susan Muranishi.
Thank you very much, Jean, and welcome to all of you for the long-awaited groundbreaking for the Castro Valley Library. We're excited to see so many friends and supporters here, and we have a number of dignitaries and special guests. I'm going to introduce those who will be speaking with you a little bit later, and there are a number of other elected officials that are in the audience that we'd like to acknowledge and have everybody give them a big round of applause after I complete the introductions. First, from the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, who's had a long-standing commitment to this project and has really put their money where their mouth is on this. First, Supervisor Scott Haggerty, President of the Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Nate Miley, who represents Castro Valley. From Washington, our Congressperson Barbara Lee. State Senator Ellen Corbett. Assemblymember Mary Hayashi is unable to be here today, but is represented by Chris Parman. We also have with us, who are very instrumental in securing funding for us, former State Senator Liz Figueroa, as well as former Assemblymember Johan Clays. And I'd also like to acknowledge former County Supervisor Mary King, who was in on the ground level as well. There are a number of county department heads here, as well as the Library Foundation Executive Director Richard Ajuluni, as well as the Castro Valley Library Commissioner. So please give a round of applause to everybody. And you're going to hear from many of our guests later. As I said, it's been a long journey, and we've come a long way, and we just have a little bit longer to go till we're going to have a building here. But those of you who know Castro Valley know that the library's had a rich heritage of service, from a chicken brooder house to a water tank house to our current location on Redwood Road. And today, as we break ground, we hope to have a new facility here on this site in fall of 2009. So let's just quickly reflect on the past. The Castro Hill branch, originally known as the Crow Canyon branch, opened in 1915. The branch manager was paid $2.80 an hour. The Castro Valley Branch Library opened in 1927. The branch manager was a volunteer who later received a salary of $20 a month. The current branch library is over 40 years old, and since it was built, the school-age population of Castro Valley has grown by 85%. The new library will be a state-of-the-art facility, serving as a central part of the economic stimulus plan for Castro Valley, because for every dollar invested in public libraries, there's a $3 to $6 return on investment to the community. And we know that the new library will be a gathering place for the community. As Jean mentioned, this culminates a long process, decades long. And library supporters in this community who had kids when we started now have grandchildren. We'd like to also extend a special thanks to Linda Wood, the retired county librarian, for her drive to get this project together, for bringing the library community and the county together, and certainly to Jean Hofak, our current librarian, for carrying the torch to the finish line. With that, I'd like to introduce Supervisor Scott Haggerty to give you an official welcome from the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Susan. What a great day. First of all, I told Susan that it'd be really dangerous to start mentioning all the politicians that are here today, but I did see two in the crowd that I think deserve some sort of recognition. Senator Liz Figueroa and Assemblymember Johan Claes are also here today that have been helpful in seeing this process through. I don't see Liz where she's probably waving, but she got buried in the crowd. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, this is truly a fantastic day. You have to understand the magnitude of what's going on in the state of California today. $16 billion in debt. That's coming down our way. That's coming to local government. We will be cutting our budgets. We heard yesterday that our budget will be cut over $70 million this year. And that's not easy because we have been cutting for several years in the past. But what we proved to you today, and what we are proving to the citizens of Castro Valley, that we are alive and well as a county. We understand that what makes this county great is the people who live here. And I have to acknowledge these young children that are over here on a blanket. This is why we are doing this. We are doing this for those children, the children that are in front of me. And you know what? We're doing it for the people that are losing their jobs right now, that need a place to go, a resource to go find out the knowledge of where to go find a job, maybe get on the internet and help them find a job. So libraries do a lot. It's not just about putting books out. It's about enriching people's lives. So when we stand here today and we are on the verge of breaking ground, you have to understand the magnitude of what we are doing. We are moving forward as a community, the community of Castro Valley, and we are moving forward as a county. And we're not looking back at everybody else who has the problems and say, you know what, we're going to do our thing. We're going to make sure that we continue to do what's right. And I would be really remiss if I didn't mention Supervisor Nate Miley. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, now I can tell you that Mary King helped move this project along, and certainly don't want to take anything away from Supervisor King, but I'm going to tell you, Nate Miley was relentless in making sure that this library got built. And he has worked tirelessly along with the community people that have all, from the redevelopment agency. And if you don't mind, I would like to read just a group of people, and if somebody else wants to read the other names, they can. But the Library Advisory Committee, and I think it's important that we acknowledge these people out loud because they have worked very hard on this. Andrew Frank is sitting up here like a proud grandpa. Will you please give him a round of applause? He's also sitting on the Friends of Library. Elaine Anderson, Marilyn Baker Madsen, Carol Castanozzi, and if I screwed that up, I'm sorry. Carla Goodbody, former member of Alameda County, Ralph Johnson, John Kilgore, Terry Puckett, Roberta Rivet, Cassette's son, and Sylvia Tedesco. Those are local people that say, we need something in our community, and those are usually the people that get things done. So to you, thank you very much, Supervisor Miley, everybody else that had a hand in this. This county is alive and well, and we will enrich the lives of the people that live here in Alameda County, and more specifically, Castro Valley. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. I'd like to acknowledge Supervisor Liebicker from the Alameda County Board of Supervisors and bring forward Congressperson Barbara Lee, who continues to work for funding for the Library Foundation while in Washington. Barbara?
Thank you very much and good afternoon. And let me just say that in the midst of really a very gloomy moment in our country with a recession, the housing foreclosure crisis, budget priorities misplaced, an occupation and a war taking place, here we have the groundbreaking for a wonderful new library in Castro Valley. There's always a glimmer of light, a silver lining in a cloud. That's, I tell you, it's remarkable that after so many years, we're at this moment. And so I just have to congratulate all of you for staying focused and steadfast in accomplishing this very monumental task and our goals in terms of this new library. And I've got to first thank Supervisor Nate Miley, really, again, for your leadership and your persistence on this issue and so many issues. Also, Supervisor Alice Liebicker, Scott Haggerty, to Susan, who, without the county's help, 16 years now, at least, that you've been working on this? I mean, this is remarkable to see the partnerships that have developed with all of our elected officials, the citizens of Alameda County, our Alameda County librarian, Jean, just to all of you. I have to just say thank you for really making me very proud. This is my congressional district, and so I'm always able to tell my colleagues the wonderful activities and the vision of the people of my congressional district. And this just is another example of what takes place in the most enlightened, progressive congressional district in the country. Really are. You know, let me just mention a couple of things, because since you're part of the Alameda County Library, let me just mention a couple of things with regard to federal funds through federal grants from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Now, you know I strongly support the IMLS, and especially now that Speaker Pelosi has appointed me to the Appropriations Committee and the subcommittee, which really does have responsibility for much of the federal funds that come to libraries and museums. In the last few years, in the 9th Congressional District, we have received nearly $2 million in direct grants from IMLS. That's not enough, of course. That's not enough. But even though with this tax-cutting administration and the expensive occupation of Iraq and the war in Afghanistan and several years of budget cuts and hard fiscal times for libraries, the number of library visits has soared to almost 1.2 billion per year. 1.2 billion. That's remarkable given the status of the funding cuts that we have had to deal with. And Scott mentioned these earlier at the county level, what the county is going to be faced with. And reference libraries have answered more than 7 million questions each week. 7 million questions. And so I think this is proof that libraries really do play a significant community role despite these budget cuts, and have found ways to finance, very creative ways to finance new libraries and the expansion of existing libraries. So let me just thank all of the leadership, all of the citizens of Castro Valley, and again, it's good to be home. You know, Washington, D.C. is not the happiest place right now. And so for me personally, it's heartwarming to be home and to be with you with such an important, kicking off and breaking ground for such an important endeavor. Let me close by reading you a poem. And where is Carla? I just want to thank Carla. You know, Carla now is on my staff, and so you know where to reach Carla if you have any follow-up that we need to do out of today's activities, because we certainly want to make sure that whatever funding we can find, every dime I can find. And you know, some people don't like earmarks. Well, I like earmarks. You know, I like federal funds coming to my district. And so stay in touch with Carla so we can figure this one out before they cut them all out. But let me close by reading you this poem from Langston Hughes. It's from his poem, Freedom's Plow. The eyes see their materials for building, see the difficulties too, and the obstacles. The mind seeks a way to overcome these obstacles. The hand seeks tools to cut the wood, to till the soil, and harness the power of the waters. Then the hand seeks other hands to help, a community of hands to help. Thus, the dream becomes not one man or woman's dream alone, but a community dream. Not my dream alone, but our dream. Not my world alone, but your world and my world, belonging to all the hands who build. These inspiring words were written many, many years ago, but I thought they were fitting for today's dedication. And so I just want to leave you with those words of inspiration and of unity and of togetherness, and say thank you again. And I have a book I'd like to present to you, Jane. I want you to put this in the new library. Now, you know about hope, right? It's called Choose Hope, Your World in Waging Peace in the Nuclear Age. Hope does spring eternal. Today is evidence of that. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Barbara. It's my honor now to introduce and call up Supervisor Nate Miley, because we know there's no stronger advocate for this community right now, and some call him the mayor of Castro Valley. Supervisor Miley.
Well, good afternoon. It's still afternoon. Now I'm going to be speaking extemporaneously, so I hope I don't forget anything. But let me just say, yeah, there are a few other folks out here. You know, we got a lot of members of the Castro Valley Municipal Advisory Council. Raise your hand. Yeah, we got a few of them out there. There's Jeff Moore. We got Ken Carboni. I know I saw Ken from the Planning Commission. Ken's over there. We've got Anna Apodaca, Newark City Council. There's Anna right there. And let's see, we got Frank Mellon right there. My good buddy Frank from East Bay Mud. We got Dennis Waspy. You know, we have a few other folks from the Castro Valley Sanitary District here. Ralph Johnson, yeah, there's Roland. Oh, there's Harry, okay. And I know we've got a number of other prominent movers and shakers in your own right out in the audience, and a lot of county staff, department heads here this afternoon. Now, you know, when I first became familiar with the Castro Valley Library was when I started running for re-election, actually running to be the supervisor of this area in 2000. There's a little tent out there on the street, and people wanted to know, well, are you going to support the Castro Valley Library? There were 8 of us in the race. Am I going to support the Castro Valley Library? I mean, duh. Of course I'm going to support the Castro Valley Library. It's not like, you know, we're going to build a nuclear power plant, or it's not like we're going to, you know, do something that is anti-social. This is, you know, this is Castro Valley. This is motherhood. This is apple pie. This is children. This is wholesome. This is what it's all about. So, of course I'm supporting the Castro Valley Library. And, you know, I'm really pleased that we're at this point in time, because, you know, I like to see cranes and bulldozers, and Aki knows that, our GSA director, General Services Director. I like to see those things. Because for me, that's progress. That's progress when you have bulldozers and cranes. You get, you know, got that stuff, tractors back here. I want to see a lot more of those. A lot more of those. Now, you know, on this site, this is going to be a phenomenal site. The Castro Valley Library is going to be a central place. It's going to be a meeting place. It's going to be a hub. It's going to be a place not just for people to come and be enlightened intellectually. It's going to be a place for meetings and gatherings. I'm sure we'll have a number of meetings out here, the county, as well as, you know, meetings with all my constituents when we have meetings. But not only that, it's going to be a place for additional type of amenities and enjoyment. You know, there'll be a pocket park here, a pocket park here that Hart has worked with us on. Public Works, Daniel Odessin, that Director of Public Works, you know, we opened up, we daylighted this creek. That was $700,000, daylighting this creek. That's another attractive amenity. This is going to be a fantastic site. Redevelopment put in $3.5 million is going to provide another $1.7 million for, you know, to cover cash flow situation. And redevelopment, this is all part of the CAC, the Citizens for the Citizens Advisory Committee on Redevelopment. Raise your hand if you're out there. The CAC members, Roberta Reve, Jeff Morgan, some others. The redevelopment, this is part of our whole redevelopment effort for Castro Valley. This is, you know, the redevelopment goes from here all the way over down the boulevard. But this is a hub. This is part of that. We're looking at other projects that link up to this in terms of making forth a wholesome and revitalized and attractive and a destination place, not just for the citizens of Castro Valley, but for everybody here in Alameda County. You know, a lot of people think Castro Valley is a city, and I thought that too before I was enlightened and became the county supervisor. Because I would drive by always the signs, Castro Valley, Castro Valley. And, you know, people often, even on the news, say the city of Castro Valley. Well, Castro Valley is still unincorporated. I'm really pleased to represent Castro Valley on the Board of Supervisors. It brings me a lot of joy, a lot of pleasure. Now let me just tell you, because I like to tell it like it is, what we're going to be doing too at Redwood Road, we're going to be making that a full interchange. East and west, on and off ramps. That's another project that's coming through the county, our transportation authority. So there's going to be a lot more traffic on Redwood Road. There's going to be a lot more traffic that will see this library. Castro Valley is on the move. It's not like they used to say, we're growing because we're crowing. It's not, we're growing because we're crowing. But you've got to be, you know, you got to honor your legacy, you've got to honor your past. And Castro Valley is definitely on the move. So, with all that being said, I'm just really pleased with everybody who had a role to play in this. It's not over yet. We're going to break ground today. But once again, like Gaki knows me, this project's going to come in on time, according to budget, and within specifications. Because that's how we like it, and that's how he likes it. And so, and after it opens up, let's all come out and enjoy it. This will be a legacy for all of us to look back on. Like Supervisor Haggerty said, it's for these young folks, but it's something we're going to begin to enjoy contemporary, today and not tomorrow. So let's please keep the faith, keep hanging in there, keep working with us, keep moving forward. More is yet to come. More is yet to come. This is just the beginning of a real good thing. Trust me. The redevelopment effort's only been underway for 2 years or 3 years. About 3 years. More is yet to come. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. And I want to thank Ellen, because I know Ellen really helped us a lot to secure resources with the state treasurer, Phil Angelides, when Phil was up there and came down here, took some pictures, presented some checks, because we needed that money from the state to do this project. We really did. So I want to thank, just personally, once again, I want to thank Ellen for helping us with that. We're taking questions?
I don't know. Nate, don't bring the sign back.
Don't bring it. He said, don't bring the sign back. We're not planning to bring the sign back. But this is all part of livability. This is all part of producing a livable community, and we're here now to embrace that and enjoy that. And Supervisor Haggerty's giving me the hook. He said, you've talked long enough, so get off the stage.
Thank you, Nate. And now we get to hear from Senator Ellen Corbett, who knows how libraries can vitalize a community and was very instrumental in helping us secure funding for the project.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is such a great day here in Castro Valley, and I'm just so glad I had an opportunity to be part of it. Let me thank the Alameda County Librarian Jean Hoffackett and Alameda County Library Foundation Director Richard Agiluni for inviting me here to be here today for part of this very momentous occasion. People have already said it, libraries are the cornerstone of engaged and educated citizenry, and we know that Thomas Jefferson, considered to be one of the earliest proponents of a public library system, and who helped establish the Library of Congress with his own collection, said, "I cannot live without books." You only wonder what he would have thought of blogging and Blackberries and texting and all that today. Libraries are no longer book stacks. They are community gathering places. They're places where we reach around the world when we have an opportunity to access the internet. And they're places where people go to discover themselves and learn more about what's going on around them. But I want to tell a little story. Well, first of all, before I tell my little story, I just want to say I'm so proud to have been able to represent this community. You guys really know how to put something together. You're elected officials, you're community members, you've been persistent, and over the years you never gave up the dream for this day to break ground for this wonderful, wonderful facility. And I want everybody out there in the audience that had something to do with this library to raise your hand, because I know every single one of you had something to do with it. What could be a finer example of what a community is all about? People getting together for the betterment of their community and to do something for the future and for their children, a very special thing. So I want to tell you about my involvement in this. A number of years ago when I was in the State Assembly, the law librarian came to me, Ms. Wood, she came to me and she said, "You know, Ellen, there's an opening on the library construction board. I know you used to be a library commissioner back in San Leandro. Would you be interested?" Little at that time when she first approached me, did I have any idea what she had in mind for me. The library bond had been passed, and one of my colleagues had moved on to the Senate, so the position of an assembly member was open. So I went to the speaker and I said, "Mr. Speaker, you know, I'm somebody who has a little knowledge about libraries. Can I please represent the assembly on this board?" So the rest is really history. Linda, of course, then started her work. I shouldn't say started her work. She continued her work, and she advocated for this fine library. And some of you who were involved in the everyday, day-to-day process to advocate for this money, you remember there were 3 rounds to the library bond. Do you remember that? There was the first round, and Castro Valley wasn't in the first round. And then there was the second round, and Castro Valley was way at the top, but it didn't make the final cut. And many of you had come up to Sacramento to those meetings, and many of the young people had written letters, and the Construction Bond Board had read all the information and made tough decisions because there were so many wonderful projects available. And Castro Valley was really at the top. Castro Valley was following the sustainable principles that the treasurer was interested in. It's near the BART station. The technology plan was great. Everything was looking good. But they said in that second round, we know Castro Valley can do a little better. And that was a little bit of a heartbreaker because we thought they were the best at that time. So in the third round, Castro Valley came on strong. And again, it was very tough because it was the third round. So everybody who had applied for this bond period was competing for that last bit of money. And so, you know, it was a little nail biting going on. But all of you got in your cars, drove back to Sacramento, attended the meetings, wrote the letters, got all of your elected officials involved, and finally on that very last day, and I know some of you were there, on that very last day, they were announcing the libraries. Oh, this library got funding, and that library got funding, and this library got funding. And at the very end of the day, finally, when there was just a few more to be announced, they announced the Castro Valley Library will also be awarded in the funding in the amount of $13.9 million. Little did we know, but once the dust settled, that was the largest grant given in the entire bond project for a library right here in Castro Valley. So I just want to tell all of you, obviously your hard work paid off and your persistence paid off, and you should be very, very proud. You're such a wonderful community, and I can't wait to break the ground, but even more, I can't wait someday to walk through the doors of that beautiful building. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ellen. And now representing Assemblymember Mary Hayashi, Chris Parman has a presentation to make.
Good afternoon. If it wasn't for this wonderful groundbreaking, I think my official duties would have taken me to Florence, Italy as well. But it's a privilege to be here on behalf of Assemblymember Mary Hayashi, who represents Castro Valley. And due to a scheduling conflict, she wasn't able to be here, but she thought this was so important to come and celebrate with the community. And she wanted to thank Jean, who does a fantastic job with the Alameda County Libraries. She wants to thank the Friends of Castro Valley Library, who do a wonderful job in supporting the library itself. It was great to see Congresswoman Barbara Lee and all of the county supervisors and Senator Corbett, who played a vital role in getting this library put together. But Castro Valley can be proud that that we have a fantastic school system here in Castro Valley, and now we're going to have a fantastic library to complement the schools here. And so it's just a great day to do a groundbreaking and make sure that everybody can enjoy this future green building library, which is going to be wonderful. So it's on behalf of Assemblymember Mary Hayashi, Assemblymember Alberto Tarico, and Senator Don Prada that I present a resolution in recognition of this groundbreaking.
Here's your resolution. It'll hang proudly in the library shortly.
Thank you very much, and it's now my honor to bring forward the Executive Director of the Library Foundation, Richard Ageluni, who has worked very hard to raise funds to support this and will continue to do so.
Thank you, Susan. I don't think I've worked as hard as a lot of people on this project. Excuse me. But thank you for coming out today on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. And my job is to manage this little foundation. And, you know, foundation is a word that has a lot of definitions and a lot of different applications. And I'm only going to talk about 3 of them. And the first one is pretty obvious. You know, a foundation is bricks and mortar and rebar and concrete, and it's things that we pour in the ground, and that's probably the one you don't want my help with. The second type of foundation is the foundation that I run. It's a small nonprofit, and we raise funds to enhance the library programs here in Castro Valley and around the county, and the library systems and the bookmobile and our other programs. And we're also the ones responsible for raising the $3 million to complete this library. Today we sort of announced the start of this community campaign to raise $3 million. We have about 30% already committed, which is really exciting to me. To learn how you can participate in this campaign, you can visit our table over there where our staff is there, and there's some material on the campaign, and there's also a model of the new library. The quality and the depth and the sustainability of your new library are determined by the success of this campaign. And it starts today. The third type of foundation that I'm going to talk about is a foundation of people who care. That's you, that's the individuals who send us donations, the individuals who volunteer at the library and in so many other ways. It's Fremont Bank and the Friends of the Castro Valley Library and the Castro Valley Sanitary District and the others who have donated to this campaign. And it's the leaders in your community. And I've had the privilege of working with many of these community leaders over the last year and a half. And the one that I want to introduce you to today is no stranger probably to anyone in this room, but it's Ralph Johnson. Ralph was one of the people who interviewed me for my job, one of the 2 people at that table, so I always have a soft spot for Ralph because I could be talking to some other crowd right now. But Ralph wears a lot of hats, and I call him the busiest retired guy I know, but a couple of his hats are, he's an elected member of the Castro Valley Sanitary District. He is a member of the Board of Directors of the Alameda County Library Foundation and our immediate past president. He's also the general chair of the campaign to build the new Castro Valley Library. Ladies and gentlemen, Ralph Johnson.
Thank you, Richard. As chairman of the Foundation's fundraising committee for the new Castro Valley Library, it's my pleasure today to kind of give you a brief update of our status. As Richard said, we've got an ambitious goal of trying to raise $3 million. That will actually is going to be used to buy the required technology, furnishings, and books for the new library. The simplest concept to think about is that if you think about the size of the existing library, well, the new library is at least 3 or 4 times as large. And we really don't want to take all the books from the old library and put them in the new library because it would look kind of sparse. So part of the idea with the campaign, and we've arrived at this $3 million goal for technology, books, and furnishings, is to really make this a grand library. But $3 million does really sound like a pretty daunting task to collect. But the good news is that we've already raised $850,000. We've had quite a few foundations, businesses, and individuals who have rallied together and have already committed that amount of money. So we've got 30% of our goal already in hand. So today I'd like to announce that we're actually starting on our public phase of our campaign. So we're going to be coming to the community and asking each one of you to generously, give money to your new library, because it really needs to be a grand library, but it really needs to have some books in it. So to sort of memorialize our campaign contributions, we have one of our first large gifts, and that's from the Castro Valley Sanitary District. Roland Williams, who's the general manager of the Sanitary District, is here today to present us, the foundation, with a check for $175,000.
Well, thank you, Ralph. The Castro Valley Sanitary District is proud to be part of the initial $850,000 that was just announced. We value the role of the library in this community, and because of the nature of the community of Castro Valley, the library will serve as a community center. It's critical that we all join together in ensuring that the contents and the needs are met within our community and within the new library. So we're pleased to present this check. Well, not actually this check.
This check won't fit in the ATM.
You want this check in the amount of $175,000 towards the campaign of the Castro Valley. Oh, get that check!
That's great.
Thank you very much to all of our speakers. The Castro Valley is indeed rich in history, and as Malcolm Forbes, someone who would know about being rich, said, the richest person in the world, in fact all the riches in the world, couldn't provide you with anything like the endless, incredible loot available at your local library. So let's help raise some more loot and help the foundation reach their $3 million goal. There are a number of interesting facts in the inside cover of your program about the new library that I hope you'll all read. It will be a model project. I want to again acknowledge the county agencies who have participated in this, the Directors of General Services, Public Works, and Community Development Agency, as well as the Fire Chief. I think everybody's worked as a team. They're going to manage the project so that it will achieve at least LEED Silver status. It's going to be energy efficient. It's going to use recycled material. It's going to save water. It's going to save money. It's going to be smart. It's going to be green. And yes, Supervisor Miley, it's going to be on time and on budget. And according to specifications. So that it will happen. And I want to thank all of the county family that's really worked hard together, and I know has a ways to go, but we will be here in 2009 opening the door of the new library, which, as you know, is an integral part of the community, and certainly for many years to come will add to the quality of life of Castro Valley. As a former First Lady once said, Perhaps no place in the community is so totally democratic as the town library. The only entrance requirement is interest. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and we're going to be gathering soon for the official groundbreaking.
Yeah, I just want to make an announcement. You know, next week is Earth Day. With the sanitary district, other county departments, we'll all be out here cleaning on Earth Day. One project we'll be cleaning is the lake. So if you're interested in coming out and working on Earth Day, 8:30 next Saturday. And also I want to thank Rachel for the public art that's going into the library too, and the folks who selected that art.
And now, will those of you on the podium please join us over to our stage right, where we will start breaking ground. And those of you in the audience who have been told that you are in the 1st Shovel Brigade, join us also yourself.
Oh, they're really making us work. 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that.
Okay, and if the 2nd Shovel Brigade will come forward, please.
I don't think we're going to need to shovel. It's the second shovel, so we'll collect and we'll redistribute.
That's good.
Yeah.
Say it?
Yeah.
Like,
Here's your shovel.
Yes. Okay. Our second group is what is the woman's name from the schools? From the superintendent from the Castro Valley School District, Ralph Johnson, Roland Williams, Richard Ash Mooney, Ann Hammond, Linda Carroll, Peggy Watson, Linda Harris, Jerry Loper, George Villarreal, Chris Noll, Jeff Day.
I meant on the loudspeaker. The school district.
It's Patrick today.
Gold shovel for you. Carolyn, who's with the school district? School district.
1, 2, 3.
And our third group is headed by our fabulous Castro Valley Library Branch Director, Carolyn Moskowitz, Denise Baker, Diane Burnett, Mitzi Donahue, Mary Duckwell, Renee Hermosa, Vicki Lewis, David Selden, Jennifer Young, Lee Jufus, Rosemary Gomes McGarry.
Close your eyes and block your eyes. Can you hold the water?
Oh, you're spilling it.
Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much for being here. We expect to see you in the fall of 2009.
October, we talked on the phone. Oh, great. About the park that didn't work. And I was against it. I actually voted for it.
Oh, did you really?
We lost anyway, so.
I know. It was close, though. It would have been an overwhelming victory had it been a presidential election. We got 63%.
Well, yeah.
Things are coming along. I think so. Things are coming along. All righty.